Okay, let's just dive right in. There's this cultural obsession happening right now.
Oh, yeah.
Our millennial parents, we're talking ages, what, 28 to 43, are they raising the most stressed, most anxious kids we've seen in a long time?
It's the debate you hear everywhere. And that's our mission for this deep dive. You sent in some fascinating sources on this exact generational conflict.
And it covers everything, right? From insane academic pressure to this whole gentle parenting movement.
Everything. And the sources show the scale of this shift is just, it's radical.
How radical are we talking?
Nearly 9 in 10 millennial parents, that's a stunning 88%, say they are parenting in a fundamentally different way than they were raised.
Wow, and they think their way is better.
Oh, yes, 73% feel their approach is superior. This isn't just a little tweak. It's like a total overhaul of the parenting operating system.
But it's not easy.
Not at all. And it comes with all these unique modern pressures. The overhaul is just exhausting them. Nearly half, 46% of millennial parents say they feel burned out.
And I bet social media doesn't help.
85% agree it creates these wildly unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
This feeling that you have to be the perfect parent doing perfect, enriching things 24/7.
So, okay, the intention is to do better, to avoid the mistakes of the past.
Yeah, right.
But what are the symptoms we're actually seeing now?
Well, the American Psychological Association has confirmed it. Anxiety in children is, it is definitively on the rise. Kids are struggling.
And the big question is, why? Is it this relentless pressure cooker lifestyle that's the main culprit?
It's certainly near the top of the list. We looked at this incredible data analysis from a few economists.
We use time diaries, right?
Exactly. Detailed time diaries of over 4,300 kids from kindergarten all the way through high school, tracking their so-called enrichment activities.
So that's homework, tutoring, sports, all the stuff designed to boost them.
All of it. And what's really sobering is how much of that is just homework. We're talking 2/3 of all enrichment time.
So what did they find? Because I think for a lot of parents, the fear is, if I stop pushing, my kid is going to fall behind.
And that's the thing. The researchers found that parents are often pushing way past the point of any real benefit.
This is that concept of the marginal hour, which is so critical.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
They found that once you adjust for things like, the parent's motivation or the kid's own intelligence, that extra hour of enrichment activity, it did not actually raise academic test scores.
So you've already maxed out the academic gain.
You have. But that extra hour of tutoring or practice, it wasn't just neutral. It was actually costing them something else.
So was it costing them?
Their mental well-being. It was actively harming it. The data showed that marginal hour of enrichment lowered their emotional health, their resilience. It led to more anxiety, more depression, more anger.
Why? What was it taking away?
The two things every kid absolutely needs.
Yeah.
Enough sleep and just unstructured time with friends.
That's so powerful. You're literally pushing your child to the point of emotional distress for zero academic payoff.
You're taking on psychological debt before you've even maximized the academic benefit.
And I'm guessing this gets worse in high school.
Oh, it intensifies drastically. It's tied directly to what your sources call the big millennial mistakes.
The first one being
prioritizing that whole academic Ivy League or bust pursuit over something as basic as sleep.
Right. The Academic Pediatric Association was super clear on this. Sleep-deprived kids are more anxious, more stressed, and they make more mistakes. It's completely counterproductive.
And, this is where that boomer advice that gets dismissed might actually have some wisdom.
Which is?
It was simple. Set a strict bedtime, get the phones out of the bedroom.
And the second mistake ties right into that. The overscheduling.
Fueled by that Ivy League desperation, absolutely. The source material talks about athletic programs that have gone off the deep end and just way too many extracurriculars.
All to build that perfect college application.
And in the process, they're sacrificing the actual joy of being a teenager. They're giving up family dinners, lazy weekends.
And boredom, the value of being bored.
Exactly. That empty space in the schedule is where creativity and resilience actually have a chance to grow.
Okay, so you have this pressure cooker. The kid is stressed, tired, and they have a meltdown. How do parents respond? That brings us right to gentle parenting.
The dominant modern method, for sure. 3 out of 4 millennial parents, 74%, say they practice this style.
And the intention is great. It's all about connection, empathy, communication.
Guiding kids through decisions instead of just, punishing them. It's a reaction against what many felt was a colder, more punitive way they were raised.
Well, what are the educators saying? The people who see these kids in the classroom every day.
The feedback is alarming. Many are arguing that gentle parenting, when it's misapplied, just becomes permissive parenting.
How does that happen? What's the mechanism there?
It's a really subtle shift in the power dynamic. The critics say that parents get so scared of damaging that connection they've worked so hard for.
That they confuse setting a boundary with being mean.
That's it. They become terrified that saying no will somehow break the child's spirit or ruin the relationship,
So the parent starts acting less like an authority figure.
and more like a peer, a friend. And that leads to constant negotiation over everything. The child starts to assume they have equal authority.
And then you get the classroom behavior that teachers talk about.
Exactly. Kids trying to run the household or the classroom with temper tantrums because they've learned that if they just escalate enough, they'll eventually get what they want.
But wait, the focus on empathy and emotional literacy, that's the good part, right?
Yeah.
That's what a lot of older parenting styles lacked. How do you balance that without just swinging back to being authoritarian?
That is the absolute core question.
Ah.
The sources stress you need both. Empathy, saying, I see you're upset, is mandatory.
But
But the discipline that follows has to be consistent, and it has to have consequences.
Oh.
Teachers are seeing kids with low resilience because the parent validates the feeling, but they never deliver the second half of the lesson.
which is,
Sometimes we have to do hard things even when we don't feel like it.
and this leads right into the instant gratification problem.
It's the direct pathway. It becomes instant gratification parenting. You give in to the tantrum just to get some quiet because you're exhausted, instead of thinking about the long-term goal of building character.
And we see the results in schools. Teachers are reporting learned helplessness, kids struggling with basic skills, and this disrespect for authority.
The stories are incredible. A child telling a teacher, you're not my mom, you can't tell me what to do, that's a direct challenge, and it comes from that confused peer dynamic at home.
So what's the solution?
The pediatric psychologists are clear. Connection is great, but without limits and structure, the whole thing just falls apart. Discipline isn't cruelty. One source called it an act of love, meant to teach.
And the consequences have to actually be unpleasant.
Unpleasant enough to be a deterrent. Otherwise, they're not really consequences at all.
Okay, so if that's what's happening in childhood, what happens when these kids get older? That takes us to the next pitfall, snowplow parenting.
Right. This is the parent who relentlessly smooths out the path so their kid never gets bruised by even small failures.
And this continues long after they've left home.
Far into their adult years. Listen to this data point. It's just staggering. A poll of parents with adult children, ages 18 to 28. 75% of those parents were still making basic appointments for their adult kids.
You mean like doctor's appointments?
Doctor's visits, dental cleanings, even haircuts.
75%. I mean,
Yeah.
just stop and think about that for a second. We're talking about 25-year-olds whose mom is managing their calendar.
What does that signal about their competence? And the financial side is just as widespread. Pew Research found 59% of parents with adult kids, 18 to 34, gave them financial help in the last year.
And it's not always easy for the parents.
No. 36% of those parents said giving that help actually hurt their own financial situation. We're talking about funding cell phone bills, streaming services, basic adult costs.
So what's the developmental cost of constantly being rescued from these low-stakes problems?
Well, it stunts their growth in all the essential areas. Budgeting, organization, conflict management, you name it. The core consequence is what we call learned helplessness.
So if you're never allowed to struggle.
You internalize the belief that you're just not capable.
Yeah.
You stop failing, not because you've gotten good at life, but because you've learned it's just easier not to even try. You wait for the snowplow.
This shows up at universities, right? Where helicopter parents are always just a text away.
A study from the London School of Economics confirmed it. The parent-student relationship is usually described as close, but it's the parents who are way more anxious about independence than the students are.
So the over-involvement is really driven by parental fear.
A lot of the time, yes. The study found some parents were involved ambivalent. They'd say they wanted their kids to be more independent, but then they'd behave inconsistently, solving every little problem for them.
Talking the talk, but not walking the walk.
Exactly. But what was interesting is how the students defined independence. For them, it wasn't about being totally financially self-sufficient. Very few were.
It was about something else.
It was about taking responsibility, feeling like their relationship with their parents had finally become more adult, that sense of mutual respect.
Which is really the anti-snowplow mantra, isn't it? The goal is to prepare the child for the road, not prepare the road for the child.
That's the whole game. Resilience muscles only grow when you use them, when you make a mistake, and you have to clean up your own mess.
So, if all this leads to instant gratification and learned helplessness, we need to talk about the antidote, the core skill.
Academic delay of gratification. This is the cornerstone.
Okay, so let's define that. We all know what delay of gratification is, not eating the marshmallow now so you can have two later. What's the academic version?
It's a student's ability to postpone those instantly satisfying things, like going out with friends, playing video games, in favor of a more remote but more valuable academic goal.
Like studying for a big exam.
Exactly. And the research is decisive on this. This one skill is the cornerstone of all academic achievement and education.
And it's not just about grades. Kids who can do this are better equipped for life in general.
They're what we call self-regulated learners. They actively control their motivation, their behavior. And it's linked to being more socially well-adapted and, crucially, to having high self-efficacy.
Which is the belief that you can actually do the hard thing.
The deep-seated belief in your own ability. And also, high task value, finding the work itself important and useful.
Okay, so this is the goal. For parents listening, what are the specific, actionable things you can do to actually teach this?
This is where we have to stop just talking about it and start showing them how. The research points to a few cognitive strategies.
Like what?
Organization. Don't just say go study. Show them how to make an outline, how to draw a chart. An elaboration that's actively linking new information to something they already know.
Connecting their history homework to something you talked about at dinner.
Yes. And then you have to give them tools to manage all the distractions. That's self-regulation.
Controlling their time and study space.
Sticking to a schedule. And maybe the most important one, effort regulation. That's teaching them to push through when a task is boring or difficult.
To push past that initial frustration. And what about when they're truly stuck?
That's where help seeking comes in. But it's about seeking strategic help from a teacher, from a smart friend, not just giving up or having the parents swoop in and give the answer.
And the last piece is the mindset we model as parents.
This is huge. We have to stop saying things like, oh, I'm just not a math person in front of our kids.
The self-defeating talk.
We have to model grit. We have to praise the effort, not just the natural talent.
So instead of, you're so smart, it's, I love how hard you worked on that problem.
Precisely. You can even model it yourself. If you're struggling with, I don't know, assembling some furniture, you say it out loud.
You verbalize it.
Yeah. Wow, this is really frustrating, but I know I can figure it out if I just keep working at it. You're showing them that competence isn't a fixed thing. It's something you build through persistence.
So this whole deep dive really comes down to a fundamental tension, doesn't it? Millennial parents have these great intentions. They want connection, but they're also exhausted.
And that leads them down one of two paths. Either over-involvement with the overscheduling and snowplowing, or under-involvement, which looks like permissiveness.
And both of those paths, ironically, block the development of the very skills their kids need, like grit and delaying gratification.
And when you look at the big picture, the data confirms it. The path to full independence for young adults is just taking longer now than it used to.
So the balance is
being gentle and having strong boundaries. It is possible. The question you have to ask yourself is, are my methods equipping my child to thrive when they face obstacles alone? Or am I just shielding them from the low-stakes pain they need to experience to grow?
because the ultimate goal is a successful, kind, and purposeful adult. So here's something to chew on. If that adult needs to be independent and resilient, how often are you confusing empathy, which is just acknowledging their feelings, with indulgence, which is letting them avoid the hard consequences that build character? The ultimate question really is, are you raising a child who is ready to leave home and succeed, or a highly managed project that collapses the second the manager walks away? We'll leave you with that until our next deep dive.